Hi besties, I'm Lacy and this is Real Women, Real Success. This week we're going to talk about how to build the life of your dreams. How to build a life that you're absolutely in love with. And I know that that sounds like a big, hairy, audacious goal, but it's something that I want for all women, is to be able to live a life that you're in love with and to be able to do what you want and have the freedom to create and make your mark on the world and achieve whatever it is that you'd want to achieve. And there's some pathways to that. I've spent the last 6 years creating a life that I'm absolutely in love with. And what I thought I would do today is open up the doors to my history and share a little bit of my dirty laundry and how I got to where I am, in hopes that it might be helpful to you as you try to lay a course to your dreams. Because let's face it, they don't happen overnight. They take work and they take planning. And sometimes it's not entirely clear exactly how to get there. But it's what I want for you, because the women needs more women leaders. And the best way to get them is to have women happy and living the life that they love so they can fully contribute with their whole heart and complete freedom. And that's how the world will benefit from our skills and our contributions. So I guess I would start with something that may be a little controversial, but I'm going to, again, air a little bit of my past mistakes and dirty laundry in hopes that it brings some benefit to you. About 6 years ago, maybe a little bit more than that, I decided to leave my second husband. Yes, I've been married more than once. And I did that because that was a relationship that was no longer giving to me. There wasn't anything left. And I found myself wondering, why is it that now I've had multiple bites at the apple of finding a spouse and have failed at finding the right person? And one thing I will tell you, and the reason I'm talking about this, is because you cannot live the life of your dreams unless you have support at home. And I knew that to live a life of my dreams, I would have to embark upon a path to find someone that was going to support me in my goals and make the trip with me. One of the reasons that my prior relationships had failed is because I continued to grow and my prior spouses were just happy where they were at. And that's not necessarily a statement on how much money we made or whatever, but I now understand something I didn't understand before. And it may be true about you if you're watching this video. If you're a growth-oriented person, if you like to lay the groundwork, achieve something, and then see what more you can do, if you are a lifelong learner who likes to continue to learn things and likes to continue to grow, then you will need a spouse that is the same way to be truly successful. And so that's why we're talking about this. And just to tell you a little bit about what I did after I realized that I was no longer in a healthy relationship, I knew that I had to do some things differently. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And I knew that, so I needed to do something different. Well, one of the things I needed to do different was to learn to love myself. And I actually spent a couple of years, sometimes under duress. I didn't necessarily not want to date or not want to have a relationship, but nothing was working out very well. And I decided to focus my efforts on getting to know me and enjoying my own company. And I really was able to do that. I learned so much about what it is I enjoy and how I like to spend my free time. And I invested time in learning how to write, in working out, and doing some things that I really cared about. I decorated my home. I learned about decorating. And I did a lot of things where I really was not feeling like I had less in my life because I didn't have a partner. And I knew that this was a necessary process. I also did the thinking of, what did I do before that needs to change so that I'll find the right spouse in the future? And I had stumbled upon the fact that I kept choosing people that I loved. We can love a lot of people and it doesn't mean they're the right person. What I came to was that I needed someone that had some things in common with me, but most importantly, not only that I had that spark with and that I loved, but that was a growth person as well. And that was going to end up being one of the hallmarks of my good decision that I made. I got married 8 months ago. And my path to that decision to get married started with this decision to leave my ex-husband and spend that couple years working on myself and loving myself and evaluating what did I need to do differently. Now, one of the things I did differently is I had always pursued men, and I decided I am not going to do that anymore. I met my current husband completely by accident. I accidentally friended him on Facebook as I was unfriending a bunch of people, and he reached out to me. And he was convinced that I was the one for him very early on. And he wasn't the type that I thought of myself as normally going for. So I was standoffish and stuff, but reason came into me and smacked me in the head and said, Lace, if you want something different, you have to do something different. Give this a chance. And we went out, and I gave him some trouble for a few months. I mean, I wasn't always the easiest to get along with because I felt like he was so sure I was the one and I wasn't sure he was. And over time, I figured out, I was able to assess, is this a growth-oriented person? Do we have things in common? Is this someone who's going to evolve with me? And now sitting here in front of you today, I can tell you that he and I both are different people than we were 3 years ago. Case in point, we're both growing. Exactly what I needed. Not only that, though, but there was that spark, and there was that, pardon the itch on my nose. I got an itch on my nose. And he was also interested in the same things that I was interested in. We had things in common. Not everything in common. I think it's important to do some things different, but we had a lot in common, and I think that's important as well. We're both at a time in our lives where we can fully appreciate the true commitment it takes to have a wonderful relationship, and we were both willing to put that into it. And that was something I asked him early on while we were dating is, are you willing to do the work it takes to have a great relationship? Not just a good one, but a great relationship. And he was willing, and so was I. In fact, at this point, I think I'll recommend a book to you called His Needs, Her Needs, if you want to know how to have a great relationship. And that is a great book, whether you're a same-sex couple or a hetero couple, does not matter. That book was written by a man who's done decades of couples counseling and found the same thing over and over, and that is couples break up if there's not other reasons for it. One of the primary reasons they break up is one or both don't feel loved anymore. So the whole book is how to make your partner feel loved. And who decides what makes them feel loved? The person who is being loved. I decide what makes me feel loved, and my spouse decides what makes him feel loved. And the whole book is about how to make that commitment and how to keep your relationship fresh over the years. And so we committed to that while we were dating. I didn't want to continue to date someone that wasn't fully committed to having a great relationship because I knew I was too. But the other thing is that the support at home for someone who is committed to their career is so important, because sometimes the relationship has to come second in a day or week of work, right? And if you have a spouse at home that doesn't embrace that or doesn't embrace a path to give you that freedom, then you don't have support at home to pursue your professional dreams, if that in fact is your dream. And that's what Real Women, Real Success is all about, is pursuing your professional dreams and the life of your dreams. So, it's not to say that if someone isn't fully capable of supporting you, you can't work that out. I'm a firm believer in counseling. I think that if you're already married, I certainly don't want to say if your spouse isn't supporting you now, it's over. That's not necessarily the case. But I think you have to ask yourself, how important is your happiness and your success to you? And if you have to have that real important discussion about finding a way to support each other and getting to a better place so you can achieve your dreams, you should do that, because the world needs you, needs your passion, needs your strengths, and you deserve to be just as happy as the next guy. Everybody deserves to be happy. So I would encourage you to pursue that, even if it's going to be a little bit of a challenge along the way. And all good relationships are a challenge. So I put that out there to you because I think the number one thing that has helped me succeed and get to a life of my dreams is having the right supportive spouse. And I think too, it's hard to make it as a single person. I think back on the 5 years it took me to get to today. And if I were single, it would have been a lot more difficult. than having that spouse at home that I could cry on their shoulder, that was encouraging when I didn't believe in myself. All those things that you need in a cheerleader. I believe your spouse should be those things. Your spouse is the one person that should know, maybe not everything about you, but know your heart and soul, and believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. And that's how I got to where I am, is to have that strong spouse. And I've been able to create a life I'm absolutely in love with. And that is a big part of why. But that wasn't the only thing, but I wanted to touch on that first because although controversial, I know I'm saying some things here that might be controversial. And yeah, some people are in bad relationships that aren't going to support them in their growth. If that's you, assess it. There's nothing wrong with assessing it and saying, is this salvageable? Can I figure it out? Plenty of great people in the world put their dreams on the back burner because they're afraid to address what's not working in their life. And if your life relationship is something that's not working for you in your life, you have every right to stand up and address it and see if there's a way to make it better, either with that person or by moving on, or whatever it is that you can get yourself comfortable with in order to pursue your dreams and a life that you're in love with. So another thing that I'm sure comes to mind when you talk about pursuing a life of your dreams is finances, right? That was absolutely a big issue for me. I had a very successful career in nonprofit management for 30 years. I had a 6-figure income. I was very comfortable, but I had bills to match. And I had to figure out how to progressively lay out a path to get to a point of financial independence, knowing full well that to pursue my dreams would probably mean a cut in income for a while. I do know that ultimately it's going to mean a lot more money than I've ever made. But while I'm building it, I'm going to have to be able to subsist on a lesser income. And I knew that. If any of you have heard of David Ramsey, he's phenomenal in terms of how to manage and pay down debt. He has a website, he has a radio show. I took some of his very basic principles and just started applying them to my life. And I will tell you that it seemed big, hairy, and audacious that I would pay off all my bills 5 years ago. I didn't know if I could do it in 5 years. I didn't even have a 5-year timeline. I didn't know how long it was going to take. And it was so big, hairy, and audacious to me that I just decided to have small goals. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So I took one bite at a time. Or how do you build that brick wall? One brick at a time. You're not building a brick wall, you're laying bricks. So I laid the first brick, and that was I had a very small car payment for a Jeep, and I just started paying a little bit extra on that. Now, where did I get the extra? I did something that I was advised to do. I think this was part of Dave Ramsey, but in other areas too on the internet. I looked at all my expenses and saw where I could cut back without giving up. Because when you give up too much, you're not motivated anymore, right? You still have to have, things you enjoy. I still have to get a pedicure. I still had to do certain things, or I wouldn't be happy, and I knew I wouldn't follow through with my plan. So I looked at my cable bill, and could I do without HD? Could I cut that back to just the regular channels and be happy with it? I looked at my gym membership. Did I need quite that size of a membership? I looked at my cell bill. Did I need that much of a data plan? I looked at all the different bills that I had. Could I cut back from 64 degrees heating in my apartment to 63 or 62 or whatever? So I looked at all the ways that I could cut, and then I took that savings and I started adding that to my payment for this Jeep, okay? And that was just like $150. So maybe I'm paying $200. And then I paid that off. I didn't owe a lot, so I paid that off. Then I took that money, that extra I was paying on it, plus the payment that I now didn't have to make, so like $300, and I started paying that on a credit card that I had. And every time I was able to chip away at a different bill, or if I got an increase in my salary, I would start putting that monthly amount, increasing that amount on my credit card bill. And I finally got that paid off a couple years later. And then I had a student loan. Now, oh my gosh, I know so many people my age that have student loans still, and they're just so hard to get rid of. It's like that fly in your face that never goes away, right? The student loan. This one was for my son though, but it still was something I needed to take care of. And so I started taking, and it was sizable, and I started taking that money that I had been paying on this other bill, plus the amount of savings, right, that I had had before, and I started paying on that, even a bigger chunk. So you're taking advantage of the power of compounding and not giving up any fun, but as you get rid of one payment, you can take that plus the savings that you're getting and put that on the next thing. So a year later, I finally got done paying that off, and then I had to pay off my car. And my car was fairly new. I probably owed $30,000 on it, but I was finally able to pay between $1,500 and $2,000 a month on it because of all the other stuff I paid off. And I just paid it off last December, which enabled me to leave my job in mid-February. Now, I had saved up some money. I also had a plan of saving, so I've got enough money to pay my minimum bills for a year, and I'm not just jumping off the cliff into nothing. So that's something else to consider. When you're getting close to your payoff goal, are you building your next life in the nooks and crannies of your life? So what I did 2 years ago is I started really contemplating, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? And I thought, what do I enjoy? That's the best place to go, is to take stock in who you are as a human being and say, what do I love to do? If you love to shop, make that part of your alternative. I love to go to flea markets, thrift stores, eBay. I like to go to antique shops, and I like to find that vintage find. I like to find something historic that is being sold for cheap but is actually a jewel. And I love the idea of repurposing rather than new. I love the idea of a planet-friendly business. I also love fashion. I love jewelry, and I put all that together and decided that I was going to start a jewelry company that repurposed vintage jewelry into new contemporary designs, using mostly repurposed and reclaimed materials like belts and horse reins and all kinds of other things. So very, very little of my jewelry has any new components on it, except for maybe the fasteners. And I researched that, and I researched how I might get that done, and I researched what it means to open an Etsy store and what it might mean to have my own website someday. And I started doing that and actually making stuff. I started building my shop 2 years ago, just in the weekends. And I did a video on having a hobby is the greatest stress management you can have, because it takes your mind completely off of what stresses you out. So I was able to spend time on it because it actually alleviated the stress from my job. But all that time I was learning in the nooks and crannies of my life. And last year, while I was still working 50, 60 hours a week, the business actually broke even. I started doing little home parties and stuff, and it started actually to work. So I had already had my jewelry business in place for 2 years by the time I left my job in mid-February of this year. So you can start building your new life in the nooks and crannies of your old life. You really want to do that, if you can, to provide yourself some stability. Now, if you have a great spouse and you're able to lean on them and then just quit your job, this video might be irrelevant to you. But I know tons of women that just don't have the wherewithal to do that, or their bills are such, or their relationship is such that they can't do that. So I'm trying to give you a path to how you create this new life while you're in your old one. So I did that. And now I've been doing weekly blogs for Real Women, Real Success since last August. And I got certified as a high performance coach last year. That was a phenomenal experience. I did that on some vacation time from my prior job, and really got interested in how I can help other people achieve higher levels of success. And as you know, I've focused my attention on women because I believe we're born with innate skills that the world needs today, and that we can leverage those strategically to achieve higher levels of success. And that's the whole reason that Real Women, Real Success exists. And it is a company, but it's just I don't have any income yet. I'm not going to do anything with it until my jewelry business is actually highly thriving over the next couple of years. But I'm going to continue to do these blog videos because this is so important to me. It's my passion. So you can see what I've done with my life to create the life of my dreams. And now I wake up every day. I can't wait to get in front of the camera to talk to you. I can't wait to get to my shop to create new jewelry or do a shop video or a post on Facebook about what I'm creating. And I just did some stuff. I went to a flea market last weekend and posted some video about that. It was so fun. I'm having so much fun. I've got the spouse of my dreams. I had to do a little work on my daughter. Okay, so my daughter lives with us. She's older, but you may have to do that too. Those of you that have kids, especially young kids, you may have to manage their expectations about mommy and what is she going to be doing with her life and why isn't she here tonight? You have to have that support at home that allows you to do what you need to do to be successful. If you're going to go for that corporate job or go for that CEO job or that VP job in a big corporation or whatever it is, You need the support at home. And it's not that you completely give up your family, because that family support is so necessary to contribute to keep it healthy. But there are going to be those times where you are scarce to your family. And if you don't have support in that, it's really hard to succeed. If you have a challenging environment, as I did, being in the realm of politics, you have to have a partner that understands that and can function well in it if they have to. So those are all things that you can do to build a life of your dreams. But when you sit down and start saying, not only do I have the right plan in place to achieve the ideal spouse? Or with my spouse now, do I need a plan to make this better, a better support to me? Do we need to go to counseling? Do I need just to have a conversation with him? Do I need to have a conversation with the kids? What do I need to do to chip away at some of my expenses right now so I can start paying off my bills and saving up a little bit so I can quit my job and do what I love? Or how do I, get the education I need or get the tools I need to apply for that next higher job? Whatever it is, the support that you need or the financial positioning that you need to get where you want to go, that's what I wanted to address with you today, because it's phenomenal to wake up every day and have a life that you're absolutely in love with. And when women have a life that they're absolutely in love with, they contribute more to the world, and the world needs us. The world needs our skill sets. I don't know how many of you may have seen, or if you know about Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, came out with an article, I think in Business Journal last week, that said he asked his staff to investigate what his highest performing investment companies were and what they had in common. And do you know what those companies had in common? They were all run by women. Because the reason he asked that question is he wanted to invest more in what the companies had in common that were highest performing. So now guess what? He wants to invest more in women-owned companies that are doing well because they're doing better in his portfolio than the male-led ones. We have innate skills and talents that the world needs today. And you will best be able to achieve your dreams and give to the world if you have a life that you're absolutely in love with. And that's what I want for you. So I hope this was helpful today. Please give this video a like down below. And please, if you haven't already, sign up for the Women's VIP E-Club. You get advanced viewings of all these training videos. You get free stuff. There's a group of women that I'm going to be getting together at a conference coming up here pretty soon. And the folks that know about that are part of the Women's VIP E-Club. So I hope you'll sign up down below. Give this video a like. Send me your questions if you'd like, comments, concerns at Lacy, that's L-A-C-Y, at LacySchoen.com. Lacy Schoen is spelled LacySchoen.com. Lacy at LacySchoen.com. So I hope you go out there and have a great week. And until then, always remember I'm your biggest fan, and I'll see you next time. Hi besties, I'm back. So last week I had a contest and I learned something a difficult way, and that is that my email didn't make it through to all of you in the Women's VIP E-Club, because when you have more than a couple links in your email, apparently it goes to people's spam or doesn't get delivered. Ouch, sorry about that. I didn't know, so I'm still learning too, as you can see. So I'm going to do the contest again this week. I want you to stick around. It's going to be right here. It's voting on the background of my videos. I'd like you to vote on the background of my videos, and I'm going to send a free gift, the Keys to Conscious Business Growth book, to the person that I select as the winner. Keys to Conscious Business Growth is an Amazon bestseller that I am a co-author in with 19 other women. And I'd love for you to have that book, pick it up, or hopefully you'll win it by voting on the background you like the best. But my chapter is about the 5 strengths that women are born with that they can leverage for higher levels of success, and why those 5 strengths are so desperately needed in the world today. So I hope you'll participate in the contest, and here we go. I want you to vote on which background you like best for my videos. In the video blogosphere, we have the ongoing debate of what kind of background we should use, and some of you may not realize that I actually film these videos at home in a studio that we have set up with a green screen, and then I drop in a background that I think looks cool and is good to look at and is enjoyable and makes the video pop on the internet. So I want you guys to vote and tell me which one you like the best. And I'm going to go through the 4 backgrounds right now, and I'll number them 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'd like you to email me with your vote at Lacy, L-A-C-Y, at LacySchoen.com. Email me your choice. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at which background got the most votes. And then I'm going to take the woman that responded first with that answer. And I will be in touch with you via email because I'm going to give you a free copy of my new book, Keys to Conscious Business Growth. That's the book that I wrote with 19 other women. We each wrote a chapter, and it's about how to build your business or your career in accordance with your values and from the heart. My chapter is about the 5 strengths that women have innately that they can leverage for success, and talks about how those skill sets are so needed in the world today. I look forward to seeing your vote. Now here's the backgrounds. Here is number 1 that I have behind me right now. Now here is number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Okay, email me with your choice. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.